Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Junkie. Today a review of Mad Max Fury Road. Now first you're wondering who this guy over here is. This is my good friend Jake. I've read a lot of your feedback. You guys say I don't have a lot of charisma. This videos of course need more charisma. So what I decided to do is bring in someone with so little charisma it makes me look better by comparison. You're an asshole.
It is by my hand you arise from the ashes of this world.
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Mad Max Fury Road is the fourth film in the Mad Max saga from director George Miller. He directed the first three movies with Mel Gibson in the 70s and early 80s. They were Mad Max, The Road Warrior, and Beyond the Thunderdome. I haven't seen any of them, have you? Have you seen?
I have not seen any of them either.
So we went into Mad Max Fury Road with pretty open minds, and it was exhilarating as hell, I'd say.
It was very action-packed. Not too much dialogue, but not so much. It's not something that would necessarily make you think of action porn per se.
Not like what Michael Bay does. That's absolutely no point whatsoever. It's just the difference is Michael Bay Transformer style action. That's all CGI. This was so little CGI. Everything, all the stunts, all the explosions. It's all practical effects. You can see it on the screen. One thing about Fury Road is it hit the ground running. Literally, first minute in, there's a huge car chase, flips going on.
Tom Hardy eats a lizard.
Not just a lizard, a two-headed lizard.
It
It had
was a
two
two-headed
heads. And he just doesn't show any remorse. He curb stomps it.
He does.
He curb stomps it.
Although it wasn't a curb, so I'd say he more just stepped over.
It was sort of like on a cliff.
He didn't stomp it on the cliff.
Like heel,
Curb
backwards
stomping
heel.
is you take someone's mouth, put it up against the curb, and slam their head until their teeth fall out.
I'll take your word for it.
The story of Mad Max is more or less about a woman who is trying to escape from
The Citadel, it's
the
called.
Citadel. which is-
Basically, post-apocalyptic kingdom ruled by a guy named Morton Joe.
He's a totalitarian dictator who rules over all these people by controlling
The
their
water.
only fresh water supply available.
So, Charlize Theron is trying to help the breeders, is what they're called, the breeders of a Morton Joe, essentially 5 women who, and you can pretty much guess what their role is in that society, but they want to escape.
Breed.
They want to escape, and Charlize Theron is, Furiosa is helping them escape, and Max is essentially along for the ride. This is not actually Max's story. He's in it, but it's not really about him. His plot is he is a man who has been driven so insane by the land around him and his failure to save the lives of those around him. He's completely bonkers, and throughout the film he's struggling with his insanity, and Furiosa is sort of reeling him back in.
Furiosa or Furiosa?
Furiosa. So Tom Hardy as Mad Max does a very good job. He has to play a lot of emotion with just his eyes and facial expressions. Very similar, in fact, to Bane from Dark Knight Rises.
Which is funny because the main antagonist of Mad Max is very Bane-esque.
Tom Hardy's great, especially in the first half of the film when he's grunting more than talking and he has single word lines and he really gets the insanity of his character across while doing very little. I can see why after playing Bane, they cast him in the part of Mad Max. Although, actually, he was cast as a part of Mad Max before Bane. Well, you might not
just made yourself sound like an idiot.
What you might not know about this movie is... Shut up. One thing you might not know about Mad Max is that it was actually filmed back in 2012, and they've been sitting on it for almost 3 years. That's how long the post-production has been. Charlize Theron... Is it Theron or Theron? Theron. I never knew how. Charlize Theron.
Although I've heard Theron also.
She was missing her arm.
She
Nice
sure was.
robotic claw. Like from Inspector Gadget. Yeah, that's exactly what it
Inspector
is.
Gadget is a robot.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. The guy with the claw.
Now, most people aren't seeing Mad Max for the acting. It's really all about the action, and there really was plenty of well-choreographed, well-directed, and well-worked action in this movie. It was the best Fast and Furious movie yet. So for any of you who are familiar with the Borderlands series of video games, Mad Max was very much like Borderlands the movie.
So the action of this movie centers around one vehicle known as the War Rig, which is basically an 18-wheeler with extra stuff attached at the back. Aside from the War Rig, there's the vehicles in this film, at the very beginning there's like porcupine vehicles. They've got spikes everywhere. What was the one you were saying?
There's one more towards the end where it's like an old-style Camaro with tank treads on the bottom. There was a concert stage truck.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more when we get to the movie, but this movie had...
Are we not talking about the movie?
This movie had a live soundtrack played. And I know every soundtrack in this movie is live, but not like this. In the giant chase, amongst 100 or so vehicles, there was one enormous vehicle on the back, tribal drummers, the front an electric guitarist, motorcycles.
A lot of motorcycles. Nothing special about them.
No. Shots of them jumping on the hills were great though.
Yes, but we can talk about that when we get to like camera work and cinematography.
Yeah. Let's talk about camera work and cinematography. This has to be one of the most beautifully shot films I've seen since Gravity, back a year and a half or so ago. The orange in this film is vibrant, it's alive. The whole movie takes place in this desert wasteland, and you really feel it. I've never seen so many tones of red and orange on one screen in my life. Between the blood, the sand, a freak storm in the first third. I don't know how I would classify that storm, but it has every color of orange you never knew existed. So the cinematographer for Mad Max Fury Road, his name is John Seale. He's previously worked on the first Harry Potter film, the recent Prince of Persia, and Rain Man. John Seale and director George Miller, both of them are over 70 years old, so it's incredible how two 70-year-olds were able to pack so much energy and excitement and momentum into a film when most directors half their age can't. You're just gonna nod along, or you're gonna add anything original? You're not gonna add any original opinion. To the score and sound design of the film. Now, I don't know as much about music as my esteemed, less charismatic counterpart, so I'm gonna turn this over to him.
Now, the score for Mad Max Fury Road was done by a Dutch DJ / electronic musician named Junkie XL, and frankly, it's one of the most well-scored.
It was epic.
And frankly, it's one of the best original scores I've ever heard from any movie.
I can't remember the last time I walked out of a theater and have the score, the theme of a film so logged in my head. And part of it is due, of course, to the amazing sound design. Like we mentioned earlier, there is a vehicle of tribal drums and an electric guitarist accompanying the chase on the film, and it's well integrated into the film. The characters hear it, we hear it. Sometimes as the camera moves by the instrument vehicle, we hear it pan around the theater. It's very well put together.
And the sound design in general, with all the effects of dialogue volume,
crashes, engine sounds, a lot of revving up its vehicles after all.
It's all very well put together. Nothing really clashes unless it's supposed to, and it's a very well put together sound design.
One thing I don't like about the Fast and Furious films is that when you're racing and dealing with the cars, you don't really get a feel for the vehicles. You're still hearing their composed score, but with Fury Road, you feel all the weight of the vehicles through the score, through the sound design. It's all wonderfully chaotic together. One thing about this film that I did not realize going in was that it was actually pretty scary at times. In the first 10 or so minutes when we meet Max, we are truly introduced to his insanity as we see through his eyes people he's failed to save, nightmares that still haunt him. The trailers for this film do not actually introduce the character of Max himself. Sure, you hear him talk, you see him stand around, you see him in action, but it doesn't give you a good idea of how far off the deep end this man has been driven.
Throughout the movie, these visions and nightmares continuously appear to him, more or less whenever anything bad is about to happen to him.
Mad Max isn't going to win any awards for storytelling, it's not going to win any awards for acting, but I'd be damned if it's not the best looking film I've seen recently, if it's not the best action film I've seen in the past couple of years, the music is definitely the best film score I've heard since, I think, Gravity. What do you think?
I'd be surprised if it didn't win some sort of sound design or original score award. I would put it, personally, I would put it in the running for best directed.
The kind of imagination and technical precision you need to put together the stunts like you've seen in this film are very hard to find in modern cinema, which has been taken over with CGI, special effects. This is a practical effects film lover's paradise.
Right.
I'd give Mad Max Fury Road I want to say a 9.2 out of 10.
Really?
That's really high or low?
Honestly, I'm surprised you're going that low. I'd probably give it a solid 9.5, 9.6, just because, I mean, I was... all the acting, storytelling, and all that kind of met my expectations, but aspects of the film, like the sound design and the camera work,
Completely
really
exceeded it.
Really surpassed what I expected from a film.
Yeah,
like that.
and for me, a 9.2 is amazing. That's an amazing. I mean, a film doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 to warrant your entire attention and your immediate time. All right, thanks for tuning in to TV Junkie. Stay tuned here for more. What would you call what I do? More of that. Stick around for more of that.
Hear what I think you do.
My name's Adrian Silverman.
And I'm
Good night, everybody.
Now, most people.